Good morning, everyone. It is Voice Chat Fridays. I am Lee Andrews. We've got Shyamala and Priyanka with us. As you all know, Shyamala is Ford's Conversational AI Design Lead, as well as the CEO and founder of the Digital Assistant Academy. I am the Director of Career Services for the DA Academy. And today we have one of Priyanka's mentees, not one of Priyanka's, one of Shyamala's mentees, Priyanka. And Priyanka, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm from Boston and I've been working as a UX designer for a few years. And recently, I started trying to expand my skills. That's conversation design skill set. And I work for a biopharma company right now, but I'm in the process of moving to a financial company to work on conversation design.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to unpack all of that in just a second here. So
Okay.
today we're going to talk about mentorship and mentoring and being a mentor. And I'm just going to jot this up for everybody to see for those who are going to join us in just a moment, because it is early for a lot of people. It's early on a Friday morning, no less, and a holiday weekend. So, for a lot of people. So here we go. We just hit it all. So let's start with, how did you guys meet one another? Why don't you tell us, Priyanka, how did you meet Shyamala?
Sure. So I was fresh off my, voice design course from Career Foundry, and I was trying to look at different ways of networking and learning for people. And the person who taught me, his name is Janu Dalal, at Career Foundry, told me a great way to learn is to find mentors. And the thing with mentors is, I had the challenge I face is, how do you connect with someone? If you don't connect with someone, it's going to be hard to keep in touch and wanting to learn from them. Well, I went to this. Keeping that in mind, I went to many sessions held by Voice Tech, and one of them was Shyamala, and I was like really impressed by her, because when she spoke, there were a few panelists, I think, but when she spoke, everyone just kept quiet. When she spoke, she would speak to the point, and every point you hear, it blows your mind, and everyone will just keep quiet, including rest of the panelists. So I was like, oh wow. And what stood out for me, apart from that, was you could tell that she was a very humble person. So that, I think, is such a great combination. Someone who's passionate about the work, who's really done well and come up, and she was very humble. So I knew there was more to the story. And being an immigrant myself, I knew we could connect. And I don't know Shyamala on a personal level, but I could kind of, from the way she was carrying herself, the way she was speaking, and what the passion, the way, when I say speaking, how passionate she was, and she was very knowledgeable. I could kind of sense, okay, this is probably a person I'm going to connect with. And I reached out to her on LinkedIn. I told her how much I loved that session, and and she was really nice. And I didn't expect a reply at all. I was like, well, she's in a high position. She's probably not going to respond at all. So, but I wasn't surprised she responded, though. I didn't want to keep my expectations up, because during the COVID, everyone was busy. They didn't have time for that. So I didn't want to keep my expectations high. But I was so happy. And I remember when she replied, it was like a celebrity replying. And I ran to my husband and I said, oh my God, the person from Ford, she replied. So my husband at that point knows her as a person from Ford. So, but I was so excited, and that's how we met. And she was very, very nice to give me some time. I think she gave me an hour, right, Shyamala? I think we spoke for an hour, and it was a really nice, inspiring chat we had.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
actually, you
awesome.
reached out to me at the right time, I would say, because last year I opened up, a couple of hours for mentoring, and I openly spoke about that. Like, if someone wants a mentor, I'm available, because people were going through a lot of difficult time. And I think that was one of the time when Priyanka reached out to me, and it was just perfect.
Excellent. So that timing worked out. So
Yeah.
again, I want to take a step back. So there is a process to this. First of all, you attended an event. right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're out there in this. You attended a course. You signed up for a course. So you're investing in yourself. What did
yeah.
you do, Priyanka, before you took the Foundry class?
I was working as a UX designer. So I was
Okay.
working at a finance institution, and I was working as a UX designer. I loved that place. I didn't want to leave, but I also wanted to do this, and But at that time, my only option was to leave, because given how many hours I had to put into this, so I chose to leave and do this. And I was
You
in,
left your job to
yeah, yeah,
learn conversational AI design or voice design.
yeah, yeah.
That's a commitment.
Yes, it happened on accident though. It happened on an accident, not I don't want to take credit for what I didn't know it needed 20 hours a week when I signed up. And then I was like, oh God, when I looked at it later, I was like, wow, it needs 20 hours. I didn't realize that. And so then I decided to leave.
Okay. Well, not everything happens best when it's planned, right? Some things
Yeah.
that happen just happen because that's the right thing to do at the right time. So that's a big decision. That's an economic decision. It's a career decision. Why did you choose voice? Because when you have the background of UX, you can go in so many different directions. Why did you choose voice?
So I live in a household where we have at least 6, 7 Alexas. We have it in all our rooms. But I can't talk to her because she doesn't understand me. And it's like, only thing I can talk to her is for alarms. And even sometimes she doesn't respond for that. And so many of my husband's big into Philip Hue lights and stuff like that. So in our rooms we have that. I can't turn a light on when she doesn't respond. So I was really frustrated. And I was also teaching at this place, and I saw this up and I was like, oh wow, that'll be cool to contribute to improving experiences like that. So that was a big reason. I think my disappointment with Alexa, contributed to that a lot, because I couldn't do a lot of tasks. Even today, it doesn't understand my accent. It also doesn't respond at times. And then it happens when I yell at her. And that's when, she understands me.
I don't mean to be naive here, but I don't hear an accent. Do you hear an accent, Shyamala? I don't hear an accent. What's up with Alexa? Is it your version of Alexa? Because I have a lot of friends who are not, they're first generation in the US, and they have all kinds of accents, and Alexa hears it just fine. So is there a difference in units, Shyamala? I mean, let's ask this to you
I
about
don't
this.
think so.
What's going
Technically, it's
on?
the same. Yeah, I don't think so. See, technically, it's the same. I mean, when you create the speech recognition system and you are training the data, you're training with all the different kind of voices. It could be a combination of things what they don't have. So Alexa or the speech assistants at this moment do not understand all of the accent. So accent is not just the words, right? It also contributes your the thickness of your voice and all of those different kind of things. And
Oh,
so these assistants are not 100% there because they're still learning and training the data, and it's an ever evolving process for them. It will take a lot of time. And I think there's a combination of things which kind of contributes to it. Even my voice, Alexa doesn't understand most of the time. And I feel like I speak pretty clear, but still. So it happens.
interesting.
And
So
it's not to do with the version.
I'm with you, Priyanka. When I yell at Alexa or Siri, they completely ignore me. It's like being related to a spouse. They just completely ignore. They know when to ignore. So Priyanka, you got pissed off at Alexa, so you
Yeah.
decided to fix her wagon. And then and you're going to go to school and you're going to learn how to do this. So you go to school, you learn. Do you get a job before you graduate, or did you get a job after you grad? How did that work?
So I didn't get a job after I graduated or before. So I reached a point where I thought, oh God, now I have to pick which I want to specialize in, voice or, conversation or visual UX. And I had a hard time. So I talked to people, Shyamala included. I talked to a few people, and I couldn't make that decision. So I just thought, what I'll do is I'll do what comes my way, what I get, and it's something I look for things I like and work for that. So that's how I got into a biopharma company as well. And then my the finance place I worked for, I had reached out to my boss there for a reference because I'm leaving the biopharma company. And she said, can I hire you? And I was like, of course, because I love that place. They had a great culture. And she put me in touch with a recruiter. And then a person from the VA team had reached out, and they really were interested in hiring me. So that's how it worked. And I messaged Shyamala and I was like, I haven't done a conversation interview before. I'm not sure what to expect. And she sent me an interview link. I also messaged my mentor from Career Foundry. His name is Janil Dalal, and he gave me a few tips. And there are other few people I met along the way who were working composition design. Another person called Arun George, I talked to him too, and all of them really helped me to prepare for this interview. And I felt very confident going in case if they help.
Okay, so again, lessons learned here. Reach out to every contact you know and ask for help. So that takes a lot of humility. You were already known for a good UX, right? For understanding the foundation of UX from your previous employer. You go to school, you take this other job with a pharma company. That one comes to whatever end needs to come to an end. And then you say, all right, now I've got to look for my next opportunity. You talk to everybody that you worked with before. You talk to the people that you went to school with. That's a strategy. That's executing a strategy, whether you realized it or not, right? You just did it naturally, but that is part of the strategy. What was the biggest it sounds like choosing which direction you want to go in voice was your biggest challenge. Tell me the difference between your choices. What is, because there's a lot of people who are going to be listening to this who are just now exploring the voice career domain. So tell us what those differences are and why it was hard for you to make that decision.
So when I worked on a skill of my own, and my husband's gonna develop it for Alexa. So when I was working in voice, I realized, oh, it'd be nice to get to do some visual. And when I was working visual, I was like, oh, I wish I could do some voice. And I think you can get to do both at startups, which I didn't want to, move to at that point. So I was very confused for a while. It took me a few months to figure it out. And then I think as I started applying for jobs, as opportunities came, I was able to focus on more. Like, for example, there was the biopharma company came in. I was like, oh, this is probably cool to work on because during, the time we're going through right now, it'd be nice to contribute to something like that. So I started looking at that perspective on what was available, because I think conversation design roles are not that much compared to visual UX. So that was a challenge. And I wanted to be realistic. It was during COVID. And I just something Shyamala told me too. I had a list of companies and I was not looking at companies outside that. And then I talked to her and she gave me very good advice. She said, it's COVID, you can't demand right now. Take something and then eventually you'll get there. And then that's when I started looking at other opportunities. And I started looking at a different perspective rather than the companies than the projects, because the companies would tell me what project I was working on. So that's how I was able to choose. And during that time, there were not a lot of conversation roles, not even a lot, no conversation roles that I saw while I was applying. I think after landing the role in biopharma, I didn't look, but I would get notifications from LinkedIn, and I didn't see conversation roles applying here too. So, but I think I just got lucky with this one, the one I got. I didn't expect it at all. It's not something expected at all, to be honest.
I'm going to stop you right now. As soon as I turn my mic, I'm going to stop you right now. So I'm the career expert of the family here. So let me just tell you something. This was not luck. There is no such thing as what you did that happened by luck. You laid every stone along this path to get to where you are. From changing careers, taking time off to learning a new career, maintaining the networks that you had in school, and leveraging those networks once you graduated, leveraging them again once you decided that a new career change was it. So this, not luck. Everything happens for the very reason that you're going to be in that new job, back in a company where you enjoy working. So, and this is the point that I want to make, and I think Shyamala would agree with me, is that even if we don't have a formalized career strategy in place, what you do unconsciously is a strategic direction being executed just because it's common sense for you, right? And
Right.
so, yeah, don't take that for granted, because what you've now started, Priyanka, is a repeatable process. Now
Okay.
you know how to manage your career. You know it's through networking. You know through its events. You know it's by reaching out. You know it's by learning. And you know it's by paying attention to what's happening on the social feeds. That
Right.
that is the strategy right there. It just couldn't have done it any better. It just,
Thank
you know
you.
what I'm saying? So yeah, well done. So Shyamala, let's talk about from the mentor side. What are some things that, I mean, there are a lot of people out there looking for mentors in the voice design. Why did you, and it's a choice for mentors to do this. First of all, why do you choose to mentor when you have zero time on the clock? Right? That's number one. And then number two, how do you pick the people that you accept to mentor?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked. So, first of all, last year was very difficult for many people. And my news feed, my LinkedIn feed was completely filled with I lost my job. And some were on visa, and they were like, I have 60 days to find a job, and please help me. And, people were putting out their personal life, like, I'm having financial difficulty and blah, blah, blah. So, I felt something that I'm so grateful and lucky to still have a job while so many people out there do not have one. And that is when I was like, why are these people not getting a job? Because I know there was a lot of layoffs happening, but then there were also some openings out there, like some companies were still hiring. So there was like a mix of both. So I was like, why is it that most of the people are not able to succeed? And I was like, if I'm able to contribute and help people to at least fix that mindset or help them in some or the other way to get a job, I should be definitely doing that. Maybe, it is a portfolio review session. Maybe they want to fix the portfolio or just the basics of interviews, because there was this person called Joe. You know him too. He's a UX researcher. And he used to post his failures every day, not the success. And he used to say, I interviewed with this company and I got rejected. I was interviewed with this company and they rejected. And this went on and on for almost like 2 months. And I was like, well, a person so experienced and he's struggling so much. So obviously the people who are like fresh into this or people who are like not uh, very experienced will struggle. And I was like, I should do something about it. And that's when I opened up my slots voluntarily to mentor a couple of people. And that's how it started. So I kind of mentored 5 different people around that time to help them, and luckily all of them have a job. So what I look for, so for me, again, it's the same thing what Priyanka said. It's the connection, right? You should have that zeal and dedication, because when I'm opening up my slot for you, you should have the same kind of dedication which I'm showing. And that's very important. And the other thing for me was how genuine you are in your efforts. So that's really important as well. Like some people in the past I have seen, like when I did mentor for a lot of different companies, Career Foundry included, right? So what I see is mentors are available for you to talk, but students would not call. And at that moment, it was not my choice to pick my mentees. And students would not, I would be available, but student would say, I have this problem, or my cat had an issue, I have to do this, or things like that. There were very few people who were dedicated and would actually take the advantage of mentoring. And that is why it is really important for me that you have the dedication, and you're genuinely interested. And like Priyanka's message itself was so genuine. Like when she reached out with all of the things. It was what she was looking for and all of those things. So her I think the message itself was very detailed. So, and that's when I was like, yeah, I should talk to her. And that is why. And when I reached out to her, and I was like, yeah, I'm happy to talk with you. So it's really important, I would say, to have that level of dedication or commitment. If someone is willing to give their time, you have to reciprocate. Lee, you are on mute.
I am muted again. All right, there you go. So you said something about that message of outreach. What was in that message? Do you remember that really hit home with you? It was probably a little while ago, so I'm not sure if you remember all of it, but
I don't remember a lot, but she did tell me how she found me, and then she did said like it would be great if I could spend some time with her talking about her career goals, and she did mention some of the things, and yeah, I don't remember a lot of detail, but it was something which I connected with immediately, and I was like, yeah, I should talk to her.
So it sounds like she was very specific in her outreach. Like, this is why I'm reaching out, because I need help with my career. I need help with positioning. I need help with deciding which path to take, or something along that lines. Is that accurate,
Yeah,
Priyanka?
and even one more thing was, she told me how she met me or how she knows me. Like, I attended one of your, I think it was Voice Tech Global or one of those events, and that's how she actually mentioned that as well. So,
Okay, good. So, point of reference to where you have some common ground in the message, and Priyanka, correct me if I'm wrong. Point of message of where you have common ground was in your message, and then you want to make the ask, and make the ask something as specific as possible that gets the attention of your audience, so that they relate and say, "Yeah, I can help this person," and they're serious. Is that right?
I think it helps. For example, why I wrote it that way. I had in the past, I've written messages which are pretty general, and people are busy, and I think the way people who are who are not in a job do wish that they would empathize with us. I think we should try, and it's hard. It's really hard. We should try and empathize with them as well, because when I work, the hiring managers, they don't have time for anything at all. So when you're in a company, it's fine, because when you're in a company, you can see what's going on, how busy they are. But when you're out and you don't hear messages back, you're like, I wish they empathize, but they're busy. So I just thought it would be easier for them, and it's their choice to say yes or no, right? They can make that decision based on that. It'd be easier for them to let them know why I'm calling, not because I'm just going to chat, and whatever it could
Right.
be.
But
But
there's purpose. There's
yeah,
meaning
this
and
is
there's purpose.
an agenda. So if they're open to that, they can make that decision. And sometimes I still, if I do it, I'm sure I won't get a lot of replies. I got a few replies, but that's what I did. Another person I spoke to was Arlen George. So I have, I've made very good connections. Not a lot, a few of them, but they are very good and they've helped me a lot. Like Arlen George, I think he had a Calendly account, and he said you guys can reach out to me, and that's how I did it too. I reached out to him, and but with Shamla, I remember writing a very specific message, because I was like, she's gonna not have time at all. So let's hope she sees this and she can respond, because I don't know how many people check LinkedIn too. So at that time, the only way to get to her was LinkedIn. So she probably has 500 messages in there, similar messages. So I just try to be specific, just like give her an agenda.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I'm also curious as to, what are your plans over? So, when do you start your new position? Have you already started that?
So I think it's going to start after my background check on April 19th.
April. Okay, so in a couple of weeks you'll be starting. What are your next steps in your career? So you're going to be doing this. You're going to be working on conversational voice, right?
Yeah.
Conversational AI. So, do you have your next steps in the back of your mind?
Uh, it keeps changing based on the role I am in. But I do want to see, so I haven't specialized. I do want to specialize at some point, as in not be a generalist, like, visual or conversation in terms of that. So I want to try and specialize in one of those after that, like make up my mind which one to pursue and then specialize in that. So I'm working on, right now I'm reading books on conversation AI, and also Shyamala had before, you released your course, you had recommended Conversation Academy to me. So I'm still doing my course from there. So I'm trying to make up my mind in a few years to specialize and pursue that itself. The thing it's scary about conversation AI to me is the job opportunities are less. So that makes me a little hesitant, but I'm sure it's picking up, because I see a lot more opportunities in this year than 2 years ago.
So
from
wait a minute, where are you seeing less opportunities, accommodation or conversational?
conversational.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
seeing a whole boatload of them.
Oh, you do? Oh, which
Yeah.
area are you in?
Well, all over the country. All over the country. So it's not just localized. Yeah, there's hundreds of thousands out there of conversational
Okay.
AI.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Maybe I haven't paid that much attention to.
So there is a website, Conversation Designer Jobs, and I think Hillary Black, she runs that, and she recently launched it. So I think that's where she posts a lot of these kind of things.
Oh, that's good to
So
know.
I don't know that our audience understands the difference between accommodation AI and conversational AI. Priyanka, how would you like to describe that to us?
Can you say accommodation AI and accommodation AI?
What did you call it? You called it accommodation AI? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you
think, visual UX, the traditional one with mobile
Oh,
apps and
I
stuff
thought
like
there
that.
was something about accommodation in there. I must have misunderstood. Okay, so what's the difference between the two for in your mind? What's the big difference between the two?
So in conversation, it's basically it's no interface if it's a voice assistant, right? Like Alexa, except when you have a code show, right? So you basically speak, and there are certain use cases that go with it. It's not really you can't use voice for everything, but there's really a lot of use cases where voice is perfect for it. And well, for visual UI, for example, a mobile app would be a visual UI,
Excellent.
and your desktop application. So I think Shyamala and I will be speaking about this. Voice will have some of those challenges as well because sometimes you need to see things. So that's what I would call the
Okay,
difference.
great.
Yeah.
Great. Shyamala, was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, it's basically the multimodality, I would say, and the conversational. What I would say, however, is conversational AI or conversational UX is not just limited to voice. It could be a combination of things. Nowadays people are saying conversational UX in chatbot context as well, right? So anywhere when you are talking with a machine, AI and human conversation, it is conversational. It has multiple facets to it. Like multimodality is one of them, right? What do you show? So I would say when you talk about visuals, it's not just the what kind of template do we show, but the entire overall interaction, which we kept speaking about in our previous episodes as well, Lee, right?
Right.
Like there's so many things. So what do you show on the screen, and how does the user interact? How many steps do we have to take? So it's exactly the same kind of thing. If you're just thinking about conversational writing, which Conversation Design Academy's curriculum is mostly towards the writing aspects of things, that is a role. Yeah, conversational writers are a role who just focuses on the writing aspects of things. And people who come from script writing, linguistics, they enjoy those kind of roles. But then there is the voice interaction design role, which the academy specializes in, right? That's where it comes to the multimodality and interactions, the overall interaction. When you tap on something, what happens? The same way when the user said something, how do you respond back? How do you continue the conversation? How do you follow up and all of those things? But at the same time, what do you show on the screen, and what are the different kind of affordances and chimes, or just to inform the user where they are at the conversation step.
Okay, so now we've got people really wondering on the other side of this conversation which path to take. So I would say we've got less than a minute, and I do want to wrap this up. So do you think that this is a fair assessment that says take a look at the job market, right, Priyanka? What's going on out there? What's happening in your marketplace? Take a look at your interests. Are they in user experience? Are they in voiced? Are they in visual? Are they in writing? Start honing in your interests, and then start making those outward connections to learning, to associations, to events, to people. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I've learned. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I learned after doing voice, and I don't think I had done that before for visual when I was like for work. I was really fascinated by voice, and I decided to reach out. That's how it all worked out. So yeah, I would suggest doing that. Some people say in the past networking hasn't worked for me at all. So I've seen posts where they say don't apply to company posts. You're not going to get a call back because they usually filled in by a referral. I don't believe that because all jobs before this I got were all applying to the companies.
Yeah, let's put that to bed right now. You have to do everything.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Online, you have to network, you have to do all of it. There's no way that you want to limit yourself when it comes to managing your career. So all right, we are at our 30 minutes. And Priyanka, if folks wanted to get a hold of you, how do they do that? Because now you're responsible for giving it back. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to say, Priyanka. So how do people get a hold of you, Priyanka?
You can, I'm there on LinkedIn, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And if people are interested, I check my LinkedIn a lot. Every morning I check it, so I'll definitely see it. Yeah.
Terrific. All right. As always, Shyamala, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us. Priyanka, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Look forward to keeping in touch and watching your career grow over the years.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.